the most powerful empire in the history of the entire continent, home of one of the 7 families that created the empire. He has great wealth due to his healing abilities and pharmaceutical business. He is treated with great respect. But 25 years ago, he was involved in a rebellion and barely survived. The family had a chance to rise again, namely, to marry into the royal family. The royal family was saddened. The loss of such talent and the ability to heal, which was passed on only through the mother, it was decided to marry Duke Valentine, a close friend of the imperial family, to the eldest daughter of the Ivy Chapel. This plan failed when Eve Chapel's eldest daughter, Freya de Eve Chapelle, ran away. 25 years later, the marriage of Duke Raoul de Valentine and Nicole de Eve Chapelle took place. Today is the girl's 5th wedding anniversary, as well as the day of the youngest princess's coming-of-age ceremony. The day has come when she will destroy herself and her husband, Raoul de Valentine, her husband and the most precious person in the world, the Grand Duke. He protects the capital and gets praise from everyone. He is an ideal for everyone. People call him a gorgeous man. But only Nicole knows that he is a selfish charmer who mostly thinks only about himself and very rarely about others. Meanwhile, the girl went into his bedroom and waited literally a couple of minutes. When he came, she was all in beautiful pajamas. She looks great. She has light makeup on her face, as if everything was done so that he could see who he could lose. The guy asked what she was doing here, to which she asked if there was any reason why a wife couldn't go into her husband's bedroom, and then said that she came because she wanted to tell him something. Her behavior immediately seemed suspicious. The girl had never shown initiative on any occasion before. He immediately realized that something was wrong, and he also reminded her that before she was disgusted even to look into his eyes, and now she wants to tell him something. Nicole says that if he orders her to leave this life, she will do it, and if he asks her to leave the room, she will obey immediately, but on the condition that he never sees her again. So now he has a choice to throw her out of the room or hug her and devote this evening to her, especially since they haven't had any intimacy for a long time. While he was silent, the girl also said that she wanted to feel his power on herself, if of course he didn't mind. He immediately pounced on her, threw her onto the bed, pressed her so hard that she couldn't resist and asked just one question. Is Nicole sure that she wants to give him complete freedom of action? Because his fantasy is so vast that she might regret it. Or maybe she will only regret that she did not ask him about it earlier. He hinted that she might pay in the next couple of hours for all the bad things she did to him, so they advise her to think very carefully before giving him a free hand. Nicole replied that it was just one night. She wanted it to be unforgettable, and then he could marry anyone and never see her again. Raoul asked her for the last time if she now understands what he can do to her, and is now waiting for her final answer. The girl replied with a smile that no matter how crazy she was, she could still distinguish true desires from false ones. After that, he took her hand firmly, deliberately ran his finger over a sharp object on his jacket, and asked her to remember one thing: that she started it first, and now, even if Nicole asks him to stop, it will be an empty sound for him. She already had goosebumps all over her body. A weakness appeared, which is both frightening and, at the same time, pleasing. Knowing his character, the girl deliberately began to say words to him that would only make him lose his temper. Her face is already blushing. She's trying to look confident, but her eyes still give everything away. They say the truth. The eyes are the mirrors of the soul. In the end, she only told him that she had been confused about everything for a long time, but she just didn't want to be kicked out just like that, without the opportunity to do something with him. So she suggests consolidating their marriage and making sure that at least something in this relationship remains memorable and enjoyable. Every time she talks about their relationship like that, he feels uneasy, and it can be felt. His touch has weakened, but now she doesn't care. She wants him to show himself to the fullest now, to show even those feelings that are not there and not to feel sorry for her. After everything she said, it's very hard for him to concentrate, and he also finds it unpleasant to watch her talk about it so easily. Suddenly, he licked the blood from her finger. But if the guy only knew what his wife did before, he would never have done it. Just recently, she drank a poison called Night Hand. That was before he came into the room. If you drink poison to the very bottom, a person becomes walking poison. That's exactly what Nicole did. And for this poison to manifest, you need to transfer the poison to your opponent through blood, no matter what method. And also you need to transmit poison through saliva. And lastly, when the liquid from her body touches another person, he is finished. Now it is clear why she provoked him and why she wanted to spend the night with a person she hates. It was just a trap. That's exactly how it happened. While on the run from a family of traitors, her mother, who met her father, gave birth and lived on the run. However, Raul found his happy family. Nicole and all of them were taken to the capital, and from shock, her mother quickly died. The father, overcome by such pressure, could not withstand it and also passed away. And his daughter Nicole found out about it a year later, after she got married. However, her tragedy did not end there. Jay, who entered military service as a doctor, died because he used his healing abilities too often. The girl begged her husband to help. She asked him to do at least something, but he did not react in any way because he simply could not. Isabel, the last surviving relative, was forced to marry a cruel knight on the spot, which literally forced Isabel to give up on life. One day they were talking about how the guy was gradually taking everything away from them, and it was becoming unbearable. Isabel understood that she would not last long. All hope was only on her sister. The girl believed that she would restore justice and avenge them all. She even suggested a way for her to do it. All that was left was to get down to business and not change her mind. It was then that the girl learned how easy it was to get rid of the enemy, because of whom almost her entire family had passed away. Her goal was to get closer to him. This was the very reason why Nicole lived with this man for some time, tolerated him. In fact, she was just gaining his trust. That jar of poison was developed by Isabel. Then the girl did everything to avenge her family, and the last step was left to Nicole. Every day, she remembered her sister's words and promised herself that sooner or later she would do what she had to do. If there had been some other way to destroy him, she would have gladly done so. But they couldn't think of anything else. That evening, she drank the poison to the last drop as her sister had asked, and imagined how proud all her relatives would be of her. No words can convey her emotions when she knew that in the morning, this man would not be alive. She looked at that face and tried her best not to laugh and admit what was coming next. While she counted the seconds until his death, Nicole looked at this beautiful body and wondered why God creates such terrible people in such a beautiful form. It would be very convenient if it were possible to easily determine what a person really is by their appearance. In those moments when he touched her, kissed her with his lips, she had never felt anything more disgusting in her life. It's terribly unpleasant to tolerate his hands on your body, which slip everywhere they want. With all this, he still constantly asked how she felt, and she wanted to answer that she felt worse than ever. It is so difficult for her to control her emotions that sometimes she even cried, and did not hide how disgusted she was by what he was doing to her. And when he asked what she would like him to do, she thought to herself that the only thing she wanted was for it all to end as soon as possible and to poison him 100% to bring him to death. All this time, she felt as if she was in a fog, as if it was some kind of dream, because mentally she was in the future, in a happy future where he was no longer there. And he thought that there was a chance to fix everything, that she really wanted to spend the night with him, but how wrong he was. And the worst thing awaited her when the most important thing began. Raul asked her to relax, feel the warmth and pleasure. Since nothing like this had happened between them before, the girl was not ready for such dimensions. She even wondered at the last moment whether it would hurt her. The guy just touched her. She was already screaming at the top of her voice and asking him to slow down. Otherwise, she just wouldn't be able to stand it. She had never experienced such feelings in her life, and half the time, she couldn't even understand whether she liked it or not. When she said that was enough, he smiled and asked her to wait a little longer because he had just started. Everything was mixed up in her eyes. Hatred, anticipation, pain, resentment, fear, and even some strange feelings. At some point, the girl didn't even notice how it all ended. She fell asleep, and in the middle of the night, a man came to her, whom she definitely didn't expect to see. At first, through her sleep, she heard footsteps in the corridor which began to approach and sound louder and louder. Then she felt that nothing was happening anymore. No one was around, and she relaxed a little because that meant that she had done her job. Only now, when she opened her eyes, the whole world turned upside down, while she had a clear understanding that this was not a dream, and he was really standing in front of her. Then she tried to open her eyes. You never know, something might change, but the miracle didn't happen. He remained standing next to her. The girl doesn't know what she's saying to him, looks at him as if she doesn't know this man, and he asks her to get up and get dressed quickly. Raul rushes her, without telling her what happened and where she should go, and in the middle of the night. Nicole at this moment does not think about anything except how he can be alive, and did she really do something wrong, although her sister was an outstanding pharmacist, and the poison that they created together simply had to work. She just thought about it, and he immediately said the name of the poison, and she immediately wanted to fall through the ground because it turns out that he knew everything and outsmarted her. Raoul said that he saw the recipe for the poison in her secret place and guessed about everything from the very beginning, as soon as she thought of everything. And he also heard that the carrier of this potion can only be a person who has not had intimacy with anyone, and only in this way can he infect someone. But since he knows everything, who should have acted differently? And by now, he should have already set up a trap to take revenge. But instead, he asks her to wear this cape and doesn't look like he hates her. Then he asks to take this ring with him. It has a function to save documents and many other things. There is everything here that might be interesting to her. The girl can read the contents when she gets out of here, but she doesn't understand why he gives it to her. Raoul replied that there was no time for an explanation. She needed to get out of the castle quickly, and now she had better listen to him. If she stays here, she will be caught and punished, because she wanted to harm him and did it intentionally. Nicole doesn't believe her eyes. She doesn't understand why he lets her escape from here and save herself, and how he could spend the night with her, knowing why she did it. Without any explanation, he asked her to silently go to the boat station at the lake behind the castle, where his subordinate, whom he had ordered in advance to help her escape, would be waiting for her. No matter what she tells him or asks, the guy still avoids answering and repeats the same thing, that she needs to hurry up. In the end, he only said that if she thought that she had lost everything after meeting him, then he too had lost everything after meeting her. Now he realizes that when he had the chance, he should have listened to some of the people who tried to warn him. Raoul has been convinced more than once that he should not have married her, and now he does not know what to do with the fact that in the end, she has become his weakness. After this, he insisted that she not waste time and leave quickly before it was too late. Nicole has no idea what she needs to do. Her heart tells her that it is better to listen to him, especially since she will have a better chance of escaping on the street than if she stayed inside the castle. What surprised her most were his last words. Raoul said that he hoped that she would survive and be happy. Everything that happened from the moment she woke up felt like it happened in a matter of seconds. And in the meantime, the guy started to feel really bad. He was bleeding from his mouth, although just recently everything was fine with him. It's very difficult to understand why he's doing all this, because at least if you look from the outside, he's much worse off than she is, and he made this choice himself. And in the meantime, the girl had already run to the place where he advised her. Although she could have run anywhere, and it was very strange that she still chose to trust him. She remembered that she needed a boathouse by the lake behind the castle. She had never been there before, but she was lucky and she found this place right away. It remains to be hoped that he did not deceive her and that they will really help her here. Otherwise, she will have huge problems. Nicole tries to look around. There is little lighting, but it is better than nothing at all. At the same time, she has a feeling that some kind of trap awaits her, because everything cannot be so easy and wonderful. His last phrase, that when he met her, he lost everything, keeps playing in her head. And when he whispered that she should live and he would try to save her, the girl did not believe that after everything she had done for him, he could even say such a thing. Even she in his place would have hated herself and would never have helped to escape from the castle, especially involving her assistance in this. Just recently, Nicole hated him, and now she feels guilty, as if her conscience is awakening. She is completely confused, and even if something happens to her, it will be easier for her because it is much harder to feel calm after she wanted to poison a person. And he found out about it and still saved her. At that moment, the ring on her hand starts to emit some signals. All this time she was thinking about it, and now she felt that something needed to be done about it. Nicole remembered that there should be some information in it, but all these thoughts made her very confused. The girl no longer knows who to believe and who to listen to. Especially, she doesn't know whether this ring carries any danger. She clearly remembers that her husband said that everything she was interested in was here, and also asked her to read it when she got out of the castle. Nicole twirled the ring in her hands, and small notes and documents seemed to appear from it, which then increased in size so that it was easy to read everything. There were also notes about the death of Freya de Ivy-Chapelle, so that Freya would avoid the attention of the imperial family. It was decided to present her death as a fait accompli. If she were captured and brought to court, she would face punishment. So, a healer was sent to her, but she did not last long and died of consumption. She also found notes there about Modus, the husband of Freya de Ivy-Chapelle. He complained of stylish depression, and because of an injury received during the trip, his health was poor. He was offered to see a doctor several times, but he refused, and in the end, apparently, he passed away because of depression. It turns out that her husband sent a doctor to her father before his death, but she can't believe it, and she's never heard of it. Then she moved on to notes about the death of the healer Jay of the Ivy Chapel family. It was an accident while the Duke was in a coma, and Princess Celia, who visited him, ordered her knights to shoot down the healer immediately after she left. The girl had heard this name somewhere before. Then she realized that this was probably the same Celia, both of whose brains rumors were going around with Raoul. This means that the woman destroyed her brother and they hid it from her, fearing that the girl would want to take revenge on the princess. In order to reduce the time that Jay's unseemly death could cause to those around him, it was decided to present it as an accident during treatment. As a result, Jay would be left with honors in a cemetery for aristocrats. However, given that someone who committed a crime against the imperial family cannot be left in the Great Temple, so if he and his brother had not initially fallen into the hands of the Grand Duke, they would have been captured and destroyed or made slaves. It hurts her a lot that she didn't know any of this, that all of this was carefully hidden to this day. It turns out that, knowing nothing, the girl hated and cursed her husband more than anything in her life. And now that she has learned everything as it really was, that he didn't deserve it, she is ashamed of every action and bad thought she has ever had. Her body seemed to be approaching the water on its own. She walked onto a small bridge and with tears, without looking at her feet, began to walk forward. Nicole is completely confused. She can decide anything for herself now, so it is impossible to predict what will happen next. She stands calmly on the edge, thinking that there is no point in living any longer, when suddenly, out of nowhere, a very familiar voice appears. Sister Isabel calls her at the top of her voice because, from the outside, I probably thought that Nicole had given up and was about to jump into the water. The girl doesn't understand how this is possible. She understands that it's her sister's voice, but she refuses to believe it with her head. She looked to the side very slowly, and then immediately saw a man she never expected to see here. She was so emotional that the girl didn't even notice how two people were chasing her sister and trying to catch up with her. At such a special moment, the head switches off all other thoughts, because when she meets a loved one running, nothing else interests her anymore. While Isabel screams that she shouldn't jump into the water, Nicole wants to know what she's doing here. The sister runs up, grabs her by the clothes, and after that she very abruptly changed and began to quietly say something. That a crime must be paid for, and if the girl did not understand what she was talking about, Isabel explained that she meant the attempt on the Duke's life. While the girl started to see the sinister smile and heard that house, she started to understand everything, and when those people grabbed her and tied her up, Isabel didn't even blink an eye. And also, after her husband promised that they would help her here, everything that is happening now is too different from his promises. These two hit her very hard, hinting that she will stay here for a long time, and it is not a fact that she will last until they decide to let her go. They've pulled her out of the lock several times in the last few hours, and now they've locked her in again because she had a visitor. It all happened so quickly that she didn't have time to think and realize what was happening. Inside, the girl is very worried about her sister, although in fact things are happening that indicate that she simply betrayed her. Lying on the cold floor, she first heard the sound of heels, then saw familiar shoes and froze, not even moving. Nicole wants to hear at least something from her, but at the same time, she is afraid to hear what she already suspects her of. The girl asked if her sister was involved in this matter and if she wanted to explain anything to her. Isabel began to have a slight smile. It was no longer the sweet look she usually gave her. The situation is heating up. There are more and more questions, as well as the smile of her sister, who clearly did not come to pity her. Nicole feels terrible now. She understands that she was deceived and betrayed by the person closest to her, but she doesn't even know how exactly she did it. Isabel started saying that she had created such a chance for her to die, and she had missed such a good opportunity, and now she was suffering. There was nothing special in these words, but what she said after that sounded very painful, like a blow to the heart. Isabel admitted that she planned to destroy her sister, like her father and mother. Then she would not have to suffer so much. Nicole refuses to believe it. She really wants to wake up now and realize that it was just a terrible dream. She cries, says that she doesn't recognize her, that it's impossible. And in general, how could she not notice all this before? There is nothing to hide anymore. She already openly says that it was easy with everyone, but there is some kind of trouble with her sister. This means that she set everything up with Raoul. This is such a payment because he dared to reject Isabel, and she also said that the guy missed something. The medicine she gave Nicole a long time ago was actually a hallucinogen, so she would think all this time that the guy took everything from her and hate him. From such a large amount of information, her head is a complete mess. The girl asks for an explanation, and her sister throws out phrases that she should think up herself. And then she finally said what the girl did not expect from her. When Nicole was going to drink poison and wait for her husband, Isabel secretly told him in a letter about her plan. For her, it was only strange that, even with all this, the guy did not refuse her intimacy and spent the whole night with his wife. Now the girl wants to ask her just one question, after which everything will become clear to her. Did her sister love her husband? To which she replied that she had never loved him. She had simply always wanted to be a great duchess, possessing the power of the family and a chapel, so that everyone would admire her high position. And after that, she looked at one man and said that now he would help her make her dream come true, because they understood each other well. And then he told her that it was time for them to leave. Nicole recognized him immediately. It was Gaston from the Saratov family, the imperial family's dog, who did the dirty work and was at odds with Raoul. Finally, they decided to give her some medicine. But before that, they grabbed her by the clothes so that she couldn't escape. The sister said that this medicine would deprive her of her voice, so that before her death, she would not blab anything unnecessary. And after that, the villainess wished her good night and hinted that they probably wouldn't see each other tomorrow. Or rather, she would be able to see her sister, but she wouldn't. Gaston made the girl drink everything to the last drop. It was so rude from all sides that she couldn't even resist. She immediately felt disgusted by all his touches, and she still hasn't fully realized what happened. She could never in her life have thought that the closest person, for whom she was ready to do everything, would do this to her and turn out to be her main enemy. Meanwhile, the next day came. All night Nicole could not sleep because she was afraid that something would be done to her in her sleep. She was already taken out into the street. Everyone around her was calling her a demon, a witch, a traitor, and that's just what she managed to hear in a couple of seconds. Her shoes were taken away. She walks on the cold floor with her boss's feet and understands that now her future depends on these people, and most likely, it is already predetermined. But on the other hand, if you remember how it all started, she herself understands that everything happened because of her own stupidity. So now she has no one to blame and no one to hate, except perhaps herself. She was told that her dead husband would be brought here now, and she would have to look at his body. After that, some guy came up to her. He grabbed her hands not so roughly, while everyone was screaming. He said that as soon as her husband's body was here, people's attention will be focused on the dead. And at that moment, he asked her to rush into the crowd as their people will be waiting for her below. At that moment, the girl remembered her husband's words when he said that they would help her. But really, he was talking about this particular situation because he knew how everything would be. While they started to carry out the dead Duke, she had some ambiguous emotions, as if it was some kind of dream. It is still unclear whether she should listen to this guy. She sees him for the first time in her life. Although if there is a chance of salvation, then she should at least take a risk. They will try to take revenge on her and destroy her in any case, so she must believe him and do what he says. Meanwhile, people really got distracted from her and began to accompany the carriage with the dead Duke. It also became very difficult for her to look at him, because he was not covered by anything, so she was able to even look at his face. While everyone was crying and remembering what a good person he was, that guy asked her to get ready. Right now, he was going to cut the ropes on her hands. But when he did this, she was a little confused, remained in the same place, although it was high time to run away. For some reason, when she needed to act very quickly, instead she began to remember her yes in her conversation with her mother when she was still a child. The woman always told her that the fact that she didn't show healing abilities didn't mean she didn't have them at all. And she also said that in fact, her daughter's ability is the most valuable thing in their family. But she didn't talk about it for a long time. At that time, the girl did not believe that she had any ability, because no matter how much she tried to find out something, she could not do anything. That day, Mom told me that Nicole can use this power only once. By leaving this life, she can save another person, that is, by sacrificing herself. You can bring anyone back to life. That day, she learned that many people had tried to study this power, but they had not been able to find out anything. Since they started talking about it, Nicole asked her how exactly it happens and what she needs to do to save someone. Only she thought that it is done exactly like this. Sounds easy, but if you think about it, she needs to do something with her throat. It gives you goosebumps, and if she does this, a transparent sphere will appear from her body. And if she sincerely sacrifices herself for a certain person, a real miracle will happen, and he will really be saved. But there is one very important point. A girl should never in her life, under any circumstances, talk about her power. Otherwise, it will be cancelled, and in the meantime, without thinking for a second, Instead of running away and saving herself, she jumped to her husband, not thinking that she could be taken away from there or pushed. She is not interested in anything now except correcting her mistake and bringing him back to life. Nicole doesn't understand how he could die for someone like her, knowing that she only wanted bad things for him. And now, she will never hear the answer to this question because at this moment, she decided to use her power and act according to her conscience. At that moment, when she is still alive and has a couple of seconds left, she takes out from her neck the very thing with which she can save him. For this, she had to damage her throat, and now she has no doubt that she made the right choice. Because otherwise, she would regret it all her life, even if everything was fine with her. She simply would not be able to become happy without him. She would really like to look at him longer, but people are unlikely to give her such an opportunity. So she tries to pull herself together and do what she must. The girl pushes this little red ball at him, and something inside her tells her that she's doing everything right. Tears well up in her eyes. She finds it hard to breathe, but if she could turn back time, she would gladly do so. As Mom said, as soon as she did this, a dome appeared next to her, which was filled with healing energy. It's just a pity that only one of them will remain alive. As soon as she did this, she felt very calm, for the first time in a long time, and now she only had one thought: if only it was worth it. In any case, she has already done everything she could. Her conscience may be clear, and what happens next is no longer up to her. Nicole didn't even see his face for the last time. She felt a slight weakness, and then she realized that she was slowly starting to leave this world. She was lying quietly, not even resisting, when suddenly she began to hear some sounds and felt as if she had just woken up early in the morning, as if nothing had happened. She opens her eyes, sees some room, an open window, and feels a light wind enveloping her. Then she started moving her hands to understand exactly whether it was heaven or not. But suddenly she began to feel the pillow, as if in real life. She doesn't have much strength right now, but as soon as she looked away, she saw strength from a person who reminds her too much of her sister. She is trying to come to her senses, but her consciousness is so clouded that the girl does not understand where she is and what is happening at all. Her sister comes up to her with surprised eyes, and she also has a very short haircut. Not at all like the last time she saw her. Nicole gradually comes to her senses, and the more she is conscious, the less she understands why she did not die. And it also seems to her that this room is very similar to the room in their house. In general, now she will have to find out where she is and why she ended up here. It turns out that everything she saw before was a hallucination, and now in front of her is her brother, Jay, who was supposed to be dead. She recognized him and immediately rushed to hug him because she thought that she would never see him again. And she also didn't care, even if it was a dream. She was very happy to see him at least like this. Then the girl asked if it was a dream and how he could be alive, but the brother got a little angry because he didn't understand what she was saying. She doesn't know what to tell him, what to ask, or whether she should even tell him what happened to her, because he's unlikely to believe it. Jay asked her to calm down and answer his questions. It seems to him that she just had a bad dream where someone died, and he wants to explain that everything is fine and she doesn't have to worry, although he doesn't even understand that this will definitely not calm her down. Nicole realized that it would be better for him to know less than to think that she had gone crazy. Now she would have to figure out for herself what had happened and why she saw her dead brother in front of her. And she is also very confused by the fact that she is not in heaven, but in their house, where they hid with the whole family a long time ago. Suddenly, he offered to bring her the medicine that Isabel made. It turns out that if she is not married now, then somewhere in this house there is also Isabel. I would also like to know the time and year, but judging by the difference in height with her brother, she went back 5 or 6 years. If her memory serves her right, around that time her father went to town on business, and after that, Raoul burst in and took them away. Nicole started to get very nervous. She can't find a place for herself. And for her brother, it looks very strange from the outside. She didn't say anything to him. She started running to the first floor, and Jay looked at her as if his sister was out of her mind. Nicole recalled that during this period of her life, she was doing housework instead of her sick mother. The girl is already on the first floor. She didn't want to eavesdrop, but it happened naturally, and she heard Isabel talking to her mother. Her sister has a question. They had never talked before about why they should hide. Nicole moved closer to the door, because that way she could find out at least something, or maybe not. Isabel says that Nicole doesn't count, but Mom, she and her brother are healers, and she thinks that they might have special blood, and they were smooth a long time ago, that they might be aristocrats. And the girl also warned that until Mom explains anything to her, she won't leave her alone. At that moment, Nicole felt a little better because, judging by that conversation, Isabel is not yet sure that they are aristocrats. It seems that her mother doesn't really want to talk about it. She keeps saying that it's not the time yet, and someday she will definitely tell her everything. The woman is also very worried that at this age, children are very vulnerable and can misuse information, so she tries to keep it quiet for as long as possible. Mom also warned that if she told her the truth, the girl might be disappointed, and she didn't want that. Isabel keeps repeating that they live in the wilderness and don't see anyone, so she wants to know the truth, and also believes that now is exactly the time to do so. At this point, Nicole remembers that back in prison, Isabel said something about how she always wanted to be noble. The girl doesn't understand how one can so persistently pester a sick mother who is currently lacking this. At some point, she couldn't take it anymore. Decided to go into their room and no longer hide the fact that she had overheard everything. She opened the door very angry. Isabel didn't think it would turn out like this. She felt awkward, and so did her mother. They started looking at her as if they were afraid that the girl had heard something that she shouldn't have known. And you can tell from my mother how calm she was. That she hadn't said anything, and no one had found out anything extra. Nicole always guessed about it, but now she understands for sure that her sister is the beginning of all the misfortunes of their family, and she feels sick to look at how she sits next to her mother. Her sister never came to her to ask how she was doing, and now she started spending so much time with her just for her own benefit. One thing she knows for sure. Now she needs to stay calm while her mother is here. And after Isabel talked to her in the dungeon, she wants to do terrible things to her now. Like any other person in her place, she wants to take revenge and make sure that nightmare doesn't happen again. Nicole first asked her mother how she was feeling. She, like a woman, replied that everything was fine, and also said that she was very sorry that she had to do everything around the house for her, and if she had the opportunity, she would help her. The daughter replied that everything was fine, because her mother's health was the most important thing, and she definitely didn't have to worry about it. For the girl, the fact that she returned to the past is already a miracle, because this way she can see her mother in person, even if she is sick and lying in bed. The main thing is that she is alive and she has the opportunity to look after her. Even though she knows perfectly well what is going on here, she pretended that it was not so and asked her sister what she was doing here. And she also looks very intently into her eyes, as if hinting that deceiving her now would be worse for her. To help Isabel out a little, Mom started talking for her, said that she had made new medicines and cosmetics, and if they were sold, it could help their family. It turns out that while Nicole and Jay were busy with household chores, the sister was secretly studying pharmacology. The girl took advantage of the moment and said that she should do it too. If they make and sell more, it will be better. At that moment, Isabel smiled sweetly and began to hint that she had not finished talking to her mother yet, and it would be nice if her sister left and let them finish. To which the girl replied that she was very sorry, but she hadn't had time to talk to her mother lately. That's why she came here, and today she would be looking after her all day, so Isabel would have to do the housework, meaning cooking, cleaning, washing, and everything else. The younger sister started reminding how bad she was at it. Supposedly it was better for the older sister to do it, but this time no one could fool her. It wouldn't work with her. Nicole never ceases to be amazed at how her sister managed to manipulate the situation, citing the fact that she is younger and can't do the job as well. But it is strange that she can't do basic housework, but is quite capable of making medicine, as she says, at such a young age. If you remember, Nicole, as the eldest daughter, was busy with laundry from morning until night, as well as all kinds of kitchen work and cleaning. Even when she was very tired, she still continued to work because no one would do it for her. And if she rested for half a day one day, the next day, she would have to work several times harder. At the same time, the girl saw that her younger sister had a lot of time to rest. And even when Isabel saw how hard it was for her, she never came up to her and asked if she needed help. Jay, like the boys, had to work outside, farming. While everyone else was working, the younger sister took advantage of the moment. And every day, hiding behind concern for her mother, she remained nearby, finding out family secrets, diligently studying plants and pharmacology. Meanwhile, the older sister reminded that autumn was coming soon, and she and her brother would be terribly busy harvesting, so Isabel would have to share some of the chores with them. The younger sister immediately began to make excuses. Supposedly, she can't hurt her hands, with which she makes medicine, although Nicole still didn't understand how this was connected. She thinks that her manipulation will work. But after Nicole had to destroy her husband for her sister, and she ended up coming to prison just to laugh at her, all this will not work anymore. Her tears mean nothing to Nicole. She still has that sinister look in front of her eyes. which she will remember forever, and will remind her who her sister really is and what is hidden under the cute mask. This time, the girl said that with time, the sister would definitely get the hang of it, just like she had once done. And in the meantime, she needed to start by laying out the bread beautifully, and it was also advisable to hurry because there was a lot to do. My sister's look is simply impossible to convey in words. She can't hide her emotions, and a little more, and she will tell her everything she thinks, even if her mother is nearby. In the end, she said that she understood everything. After that, she smiled again and said that Nicole was acting strange today, but she answered her that now she would have to get used to hard work, and it was time to stop thinking that she and her brother could do everything themselves. In the end, the sister couldn't take it anymore, left the room, and slammed the door so hard that everyone would understand that she was unhappy. At that moment, Nicole just thought that her sister's mask, as it turned out, was not so thick. At that moment, when she saw her fleeting glance, she saw her true essence, which is not as bright as everyone thinks. After that, her mother asked her to come closer to her to say that the girl didn't seem like herself today, and then asked if everything was okay with her. Asked what Mom meant because nothing like that happened, and she was interested to know why Mom was so surprised. The woman had already gotten used to the fact that her eldest daughter always indulged Isabel's whims, and today she saw for the first time that the girl was so strict with her and did not give in to manipulation, which even she noticed. The girl asked if she had just gone too far, to which her mother replied that she had not at all and even admitted that lately they had all been dancing to the same tune. Nicole's mother, an aristocrat by birth, ran away just before her unwanted marriage under the pretext of inheriting the family's healing powers, and then met her daughter's father. And then, hiding from the eyes of the imperial family, she gave birth to Nicole and was afraid that she would be caught, raising the girl, her firstborn, more strictly than anyone else. She always taught her to suppress her emotions, and if they overwhelmed her, she asked her to press this counter so as not to think about anything. And she also constantly repeated that all those who cause her such emotions except for her family, they are all bad people. In order to survive, they really had to hide any emotion. When Isabel and Jay were born, there was also a sense of emptiness due to the absence of a father. Their mother miraculously coped with 3 children. Looking back at her past lives, Nicole thinks she can understand her mother, who always relied on and believed in her as the eldest child. The woman always saw how the girl tried and worried about the family, and if it weren't for her, Mom would be scared to even imagine what they would do without her. The youngest daughter, Isabel, is so lazy and cunning that she could never replace Nicole, even half her. The girl always tells her that even if she does too much and doesn't rest enough, she doesn't feel tired, because the main thing for her is to be useful. Of course, if all 3 were like her and her brother, it would be much easier for everyone. But alas, Isabel is not like them at all. She only knows how to take advantage of other people's kindness and seek benefit in everything that surrounds her. But now that she knows the future, she will try to do everything possible to make her sister answer for everything she has planned, and everyone will see what is hidden under her mask. The fact that she somehow returned to the past is a real miracle for her. Now she will have to take advantage of this opportunity to the maximum. Although her mother is still sick and they have a lot of problems, she will try to hope for the best. Although the thought that healers can do nothing about diseases that arose naturally and that she might have to experience the death of her mother twice sometimes haunts her. When her mother gently placed her hand on her face, Nicole promised herself that she would change her destiny and the destiny of her family and that one day they would all be happy. Now she really wanted to say some words that she was never angry with her mother. Sometimes she grumbled, but sincerely did not want it. And if she ever offended her, then she wants to apologize for it. She also said that she can't believe how different the aesthetics of their home are compared to the world. And she also knows how much her mother sold out because of them. The woman was very surprised and asked how her daughter knew about the outside world, because as far as she could remember, she had never told her about it. The girl replied that she had once secretly found and read a book that her father had hidden in his office. The woman doesn't even know what to answer to this. She is worried that she might find out more than she thinks. Then the girl also asked why Mom was trying to hide some information from them. Was someone really chasing them, or had she done something bad in the past? Without waiting for an answer, she asked what she had talked about with Isabel before she came to their room, and Mom replied that she didn't need to know about it yet. But now that she has begun to guess about everything, she can no longer hide it and has begun to tell the whole truth, which she has been hiding for many years, to this day. The woman began by saying that her real name was not the one they knew. In fact, her name was Freya de Ivy Chapelle. Once upon a time, the Ivy Chapelle family was the victim of a rebellion, and they were all exterminated. Instead of punishment, she was ordered to marry Valentine. She rejected him and ran away in the middle of the night. After some time, the woman met the father of her children, gave birth to them, and lived very quietly, hiding her identity. Therefore, the girl should know the most important thing. It was treason. And they, her children, as accomplices, and if they find out about it, then all, except for one, who will be chosen for marriage, will die or will be made slaves. The daughter replied that she had read about it in a book. In the empire, there is no concept of a slave, except for traitors and disloyal people. To which the mother replied that therefore she should listen carefully to what she was about to tell her. Namely, that the main reason why they live like this is her children. The royal family directly ordered the marriage of Valentine and eldest daughter Ivachapol. Because they have healing power by blood, if after marriage there are children, they will also have healing power. After this, the girl wondered if she had any healing abilities, because she only knew that she could sacrifice herself for someone once in her life. Then she started explaining to her mother that if she had married Valentine, everything would have been pointless, because naturally, growing poisonous plants or cartel herbs is also a unique skill of their family. To which the woman replied that everything was so. Maybe they could have chosen Isabel instead of her. And if they got rid of Nicholas, Isabel, who had healing powers, would have been in her place. Nicole was very confused. She now had only one question. Would Raoul have married her then? Then, she thought that Raoul couldn't have known this in advance. If he had known, he would have destroyed her and married Isabel, that's for sure. No matter how everything turns out in the end, she must not become a victim of her husband. Now she will have to think only about herself and stop being naive like before. She should try to make sure that everyone ends up well. It's just a pity that she'll have to make some sacrifices to do so. She can't afford to repeat this bad fate. And since she is given a chance to return to the past, she must do everything possible and impossible to correct her past mistakes. At that moment, the mother said that something was bothering her daughter. She even felt uneasy, so she asked if everything was okay. She sees how Nicole has become different from herself. She's thinking about something, and her mother feels uneasy about it. The girl doesn't even know what to say. She only has thoughts now. She can't formulate a single sentence. She simply replied that everything was fine, that she was supposedly trying to put all the pieces together, and everything was already fine. In the end, she just said that she thought it would be better if Isabel didn't know anything about it, and asked her mother not to tell her anything. Mom immediately warned that sooner or later, Isabel would definitely find out about this, and maybe not even from her personally. The girl is most afraid that if her sister finds out about all these facts, the following situation will occur. She will say that the reason they are forced to live like this is because of her sister, and that because of her, they all have there will never be a happy and free future, that it is all her fault. And all this despite the fact that she always wanted to become a duchess and have status, so that she would be looked at with respect. And because of Nicole, this will never happen. If she had found out the family secret before Nicole, she would have definitely blamed her for all her problems. Besides, if the girl knew that Isabel was hiding to protect her, she thinks that everyone would have thought differently anyway. Meanwhile, she asks her mother, what if Isabel hears this story and succumbs to temptation? She is so curious that she can twist something strange, especially since she is still little, and she does not have any insight. The sister doesn't understand that the Duchess's position is even worse than that of some pig, no matter how it sounds. Mom says that Isabel is already so innocent, to which her daughter replied that because of this, she too could suffer greatly, and to tell the truth, if Isabel could suffer very badly along with them. And when the woman heard this, she said that she understood that it could be true, and thought that she should be more careful, and also, she felt so relieved that she told the truth that now she would always do this, only for now in relation to Nicholas. Finally, the girl said that she would do everything possible to take care of her mother and focus on recovery. After that, Mom said that she always felt so sorry for Nicole and asked her to just think later to protect herself and other relatives, but not her, because she would somehow cope. Nicole wanted to hug her very much. She felt that they had become closer, and now her mother would always be honest with her. The woman apologized for making her cry all this time. Now that she thinks about it, she feels like she has become a burden to her daughter. And the girl cries and says that it is not like that at all. Once a girl thought that happiness was falling in love with someone, but now she knows that this is not what is truly valuable. Now the most important thing for her is her mother. She is the meaning of her life, and to make her feel even a little better, she is ready to do anything. She is ready to try her whole life to see a smile on her face, even if it means doing something impossible. Mom thanked her for such words because now she understands that someone cares about her. She doesn't regret that she did so much for her family, raised a good daughter, for whom she is now not ashamed. She is very pleased to know that Nicole is honest and strong in spirit, who will always be on her side and will not leave her alone with all these problems. After that, they said goodbye to her. Nicole left with a smile, calmly closed the door, wanted to stand still for a couple of minutes to take everything in, but she was met by Isabel. Now all that's left is to hope that she didn't eavesdrop. And even if she did, she still won't admit it. Sister did that when she saw Nicole's tear-stained eyes. She got worried, although she just wants to know more information about what they were talking about. Nothing more. Such a person cannot feel sorry for someone, and it's very good that now her sister knows about it. The girl replied that everything was fine, nothing bad had happened, and then asked what she was doing there because she should have been somewhere else. And Nicole also remembered that her sister should actually be busy right now, but she doesn't see Isabel looking tired. The girl reminded that they had agreed on something, but only she said it, and looked at her as if she understood that no one had done anything. Isabel pretended to have completely forgotten about it because it was so unusual, and it all seemed to have flown out of her head. The sister explained that if it turns out that he is not ready now, everyone will remain hungry, and also even the doctor said that their mother cannot be hungry for a long time, so it will be on her conscience. Nicole asked her sister who she thought would do it instead of her. Her father is not at home, her brother is also busy, and she just wants to relax, so someone will have to do it. As usual, she started to act as if she was much younger, as if it was too early for her to go into the kitchen. And I also asked why my sister was angry because she just wanted to have a snack and drink tea with her, hinting that she wouldn't be doing that either. To make sure she wasn't forced to do anything, she showed her cut finger and reminded him of the situation when she just wanted to cut herself a piece of bread and couldn't even manage that. And to make sure she felt sorry for her, she even started to cry like a little child. But this time she wouldn't succeed, no matter how much she pretended that she felt bad. And since something still needs to be done with her finger, Nicole thought that she could be helped now, and so that her sister would not relax, she began to accuse her of the fact that it was high time to become an adult. The girl pretended to start looking for some medicine for her, although in fact, she was not interested in it at all. As she thought, it is very easy to deal with her. The main thing is not to give in to manipulation and to push until the end, because sooner or later she will give in. In the end, she decided that in order not to make unnecessary scandals when everything was fine, she would still make this tea for them, but it would be the last time, for sure. She opens the closet, trying not to make too much noise so as not to wake up her mother, because she is probably sleeping now. Her room is not far away, and if she has too much, she might get a headache or something else. So the girl thought about it in advance. At the same time, keep an eye on your sister because while she turned away from her, she might come up with something else. At some point, the girl thought, why not combine business with pleasure before treating her sister to tea? She decided to supposedly take care of her. While her sister wasn't looking around, she took something and started to sprinkle some powder on her finger. And Isabel was so scared that at first she thought she was doing something bad. The girl started to calm her down, said that it was a good medicine. It should stop the bleeding because, judging by the fact that the bandage was still on her finger, there was a lot of it there. This powder is an excellent blood stopper. It is well absorbed and reaches the wound even through the bandage, if of course there is a wound there at all, which she very much doubts. So she checks her sister, and it will be very easy to check it. The whole point is that if there is no real wound under the bandage, the skin will itch so much, so unbearably, that the person will start to tremble. She asks her sister to sit still, not to move, and promises that the medicine will work soon, pretends that she wants to help and checks her sister's reaction. She became very interested in looking into the eyes, which to the last try to pretend as if they are not lying. But she won't succeed. Her older sister knows her better than she might think, and this won't be the last time she'll put her in her place. But it's all very simple. There's not a drop of blood on the bandage, and usually there should be enough of it to seep through the fabric. Isabel endured it, tried not to scratch her skin, and when the effect wore off, she thanked her sister as if nothing had happened. Nicole didn't finish there. She said that she was of course pleased to hear this, that she felt better, but she advised to also take a painkiller just in case. She warned that there would be a little burning in the stomach. But the effect is very strong and it will immediately get better. The sister began to explain that she was already much better and that this was not at all necessary, and her voice also trembled, as if she was being forced to drink some kind of poison. She somehow managed to persuade her sister not to do it. Then they started talking about cleaning the kitchen, and so be it. Nicole allowed her to start from tomorrow, and today everyone can rest, but this is the first and only time. She also warned Isabel that her work area would be the kitchen. It should always be clean. There should be food prepared on schedule because of the product. She is also responsible. You will need to go shopping at least once every 2 days. And as for making medicines, Nicole enjoys doing this. She has been wanting to start for a long time. Isabel asks how she imagines it because it is very difficult, but the girl has a very simple question for this. She will still be able to learn it, because once she didn't even know how to clean the house. And it seems to her that with medicine, everything will be exactly the same, because everything can be learned. Previously, as a matter of course, Isabel was busy with medicines and Nicole with housework. And in the long run, studying pharmacology would be much more useful. A year after she became the Grand Duchess, her attending physician noticed that she was bored and advised her to find something to do. The girl just then remembered about studying pharmacology, at the time when she was brought to the house of the Grand Duke. The property of the Ivy-Shapel family was confiscated, and books on pharmacology were kept in the house of the Grand Duke. So she started studying from these books again because it was the only thing that could captivate her. The girl still clearly remembers everything she studied during that period of her life, and everything in the smallest detail. For some reason, Isabel didn't go about her business. She stayed with her sister in the kitchen and began to hint that it would be very difficult for her to cope alone in this big kitchen and deal with so many responsibilities. She says that first, she needs some kind of assistant who can explain everything and show how everything is done. At first, her sister looked at her with a not very pleasant look and then asked her to listen to what she was about to tell her. She reminded that their mother is very ill, and it is unknown how their future will turn out, perhaps as much as she does not want to say it. Very soon their mother will be gone. Therefore, they both must equally learn to cope with everything on their own and begin to prepare for adult life, especially since such a decision was made only for her own good, so they should not be upset, but use the situation as an opportunity to become independent. Once she learns everything, she won't have any problems later, and even now, if everything works out, she will be able to make life much easier for her brother and sister. It's hard to believe, but somehow she managed to persuade her sister to cook dinner together. They divided the responsibilities and did everything very quickly. A pleasant smell fills the whole house. They even managed to make homemade sweet pastries, bread, and several main dishes. Their mother couldn't even think that this was possible. For her, it was something like a miracle because this had never happened before, no matter how much she asked them. Today, Nicole really wanted to surprise her mom with something sweet because she knows she likes it. She made a berry pie that she just loves. This time it turned out very soft, sweet, airy, better than ever, and the girl is completely satisfied with herself. At some point, Nicole noticed that her sister was behaving strangely. It seemed to her that she would be pleased that she was useful, but Isabel was sitting in a bad mood, as if she was thinking about something, as if something was not right for her. But in fact, she is now thinking that her sister should not behave like this. Usually she was a convenient puppet, but now she has suddenly changed, and it is not as easy with her as it was just a couple of days ago. Naturally, this irritates her. She realized that something was wrong and decided that she needed to quickly implement her plan. Otherwise, it would be too late. When everyone had dinner, talked, and gone to their rooms, Nicole finally had the opportunity to be alone. She had done all her chores and could calmly think about what to do next. Instead of lying quietly on the bed, looking at the ceiling and thinking about something, she sat up, as if she had curled up in on herself and looked as if she was very tired of everything that was happening to her. The girl constantly tries to please everyone, has never done anything bad to anyone in her entire life, but fate is so cruel to her that the desire to live life disappears. She remembers with terrible pain everything that she experienced in the past and still wonders how she had enough strength for this. And now she also understands that she has definitely returned back in time from the place of punishment, where she tried to save her husband. This means that what Mom said about miracles is true. Only now it is impossible to predict what will happen next and what other surprises fate has prepared for her. Today is the 2nd of July. Soon Raoul should find them and take them from here to his place. If her memory does not fail her, he will come here in exactly 2 weeks, and since the sister does not know anything yet, therefore she did not have time to report them. But judging by the report she saw in the ring, where it is written that the imperial house ordered the extermination of all the survivors of the Ivy-Shapel family, and that the house of the Grand Duke was the first to seize them and ensure their safety. The imperial house wanted to destroy them all and annul the marriage, but it is unclear how the guy found out where they were. In large cities, there are Knights of the Imperial Guard. They could find their house in a day or two. Only now, the girl clearly remembers that Raoul came before them. He was somewhere nearby. Now, if only she knew where he is now. Raoul, this is, of course, a problem, but first of all, it is necessary to isolate Isabel from the family. The girl understands that if she suddenly starts demanding that she leave, she will look crazy. So all this needs to be presented somehow carefully. For your information, one day a girl accidentally overheard a guy late at night saying these words to someone. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. It will be better in many ways if only I knew what he meant. But if you listen to these words, it turns out that first Nicole needs to get closer to Isabel and understand what is on her mind. She even thought about going to talk to her, to test the waters properly while it was not too late, and there was time. The lady did so. She thought it was a waste of time. She came to the room, knocked on the door, but no one answered her. This means that she is not there. And now we need to think about where she could have gone at such a time and without telling anyone about it. To begin with, to make sure that she was not in the room and that she needed to be looked for somewhere, she nevertheless opened the door and checked. Suddenly, her sister was sleeping and simply did not hear her. The girl entered very carefully, slowly, so as not to wake her up, but Isabella was not there. The room is completely empty. It is clear that she did not even approach the bed, which means that she was planning some business from the beginning of the day. There is one thing. Their house is located deep in the forest. It takes at least an hour to get to the nearest village, and this already worries her a little. It's unlikely that my sister wanted to go for a walk late at night. And I'd also like to know since when she started running out of the house in the middle of the night, because it's obvious that today isn't the first time. As far as Nicole knew, she had never been able to go out without her parents' permission before. In this regard, she was very obedient, so something was wrong here. The girl was already thinking about leaving here, but at the very last moment she noticed that the floor under the carpet seemed to her to be somehow convex, as if there was something under it. She immediately remembered that this was their father's carpet. The man had worked very hard for this carpet, and it was unfair that now it was just lying in Isabel's room, who couldn't even imagine how hard it had been for them to get it. Monica remembered that some time ago, her sister tried very hard to get this carpet, constantly grumbled and was very happy when she was allowed to move it to this room. Then Nicole didn't even guess why she needed this particular carpet, and when she understood it, she couldn't believe her eyes. There was some kind of secret passage under it, like a basement. She had heard something about something like this in this house before, but she didn't think that the basement could be in this room. Naturally, she immediately came down here to see what was here, because it was obvious that her sister knew about this room very well and had probably been using it for herself all this time. Seeing all this, she became even more convinced of how well her sister could deceive. Just recently, she complained that she couldn't cope with small cooking, but she herself does things that required not only cooking skills, but much more. And what surprised her most was the fact that there were so many valuables here that they could cover all their financial problems, and her sister was just hiding it all in this basement. Judging by the fact that everything here looks very fresh, she was definitely here recently. And it is also so clean that it is strange that they forgot she complained that she does not know how to clean up. Supposedly, she is still too young for this. Then the girl walked further, saw several types of poisonous plants, and accidentally touched one of them, not thinking that it could be dangerous. Suddenly, she heard a sound, which means that her sister returned to the room and will now see that someone was in her room and came here. The girl very quickly turned off the light, tried to hide in the most inconspicuous place, and began to hope that she would not notice her. Her body starts to tremble very strongly. A terrible fear appears, although she understands that she has done nothing wrong and, on the contrary, it is not she who will have to explain everything, but Isabel. The sister opened and closed the entrance several times because she doubts that she could have not closed it completely and left the carpet so crooked. Then she looked in there again and said out loud who could have gotten into her room like a rat. And whoever it was, she would have to get rid of that person. Nicole became very scared. She was afraid to face the real Isabel, her real self, without the mask that she always puts on as soon as she leaves the room. She is already scared by her sister's voice, and it becomes even more scary when she is silent. It seems that she will find her now and do something to her, as she promised. It's very strange that the sister didn't go down all the way to check everything. She just looked from above and took what she needed. Nicole is very lucky because she might have a chance to escape from here, although it's not a fact. Nicole becomes uneasy because the more time passes, the more she learns that her sister is not who she knew all this time. It's suspicious that Isabel just walked out of the room without really looking at anything, The girl is sure that her sister will come back and now she doesn't know what to do. It will be a huge risk for her to even leave the basement because her sister may be waiting for her there, and maybe she is not alone. Now she tries to think about it because she has a goal, to find out what she is doing at such a late hour and where she is going. It would be a real miracle if she managed to leave the room unnoticed, although she herself very much doubted it. Surprisingly, she somehow managed to get out of there. Probably the whole thing is that the sister was in a hurry and did not have time to check anything. In the end, they both left the house, and as far as the girl remembers, if you go to the right, you can get into a dense forest, and if you turn left, there will be a gate leading to the village. Their parents always forbade them to go near this road, and perhaps she went to the left. Naturally, Nicole will keep an eye on her. The problem is that it's very dark there. You can't get too close. And at night, it's quite difficult to follow a person, especially someone who's walking quickly, as if they're in a hurry. She tries not to get too close to her, hides behind the trees, and is afraid that at any moment her sister might suspect something, and then she definitely won't be able to go anywhere. The girl is taking a huge risk now. The further they go, the fewer trees there are around to hide behind, and they are also very thin. It's already clear that her sister won't do anything good here, but at the same time, for some reason, Nicole is scared for her and she's very worried that nothing will happen to the two of them. Meanwhile, she noticed that Isabel had stopped in some place and for some reason was looking carefully at her feet. Some time passed from that moment. They walked for about 10 minutes. Nicole had never been in this place, and how surprised she was when she looked to the side and saw a mansion whose existence no one had ever told her about. Judging by the fact that the sister is looking in that direction, it's not her first time here, and perhaps someone she knows lives there, because they look like this house might be abandoned, although who knows, maybe it is. Nicole would never have thought before that her sister was planning something like this. She always thought that she was little, sleeping peacefully in her room. And then this happened. The girl tries to pay attention to all the moments. She really wants to go further, but it can be dangerous. If she comes in and then you can't get out quickly after her before the door closes, there will be big problems. In the end, she risked going a little further because otherwise there would be no point, and then that she was following her. Isabel went into some barn. There are a lot of animals here, but the girl doesn't quite understand how to interpret this. For some reason, she starts feeding these cows with the plants she recently took from the basement in her room, and also smiles at this moment and talks to herself, as if in order to achieve the goal, they need to eat well. She tore it into small pieces so that it would be easier for them to eat. And she also laughed just like she did back then, looking into her sister's eyes. It turns out that now she is trying to feed other people's cows, and it is obvious that she has been doing this for a long time. Even Nicole knows that if a person eats this plant, nothing particularly serious will happen. But if you give it to an animal, it will immediately be poisoned. And if a person eats the meat or drinks the milk of this animal, he gets a disease that causes severe pain in the stomach and head, and then all these symptoms lead to death. Since they often get sick from milk, the disease was called milk bottle, no matter how strange it may sound. You can see how happy Isabel is that everything is working out for her. She makes sure that the cows finish eating everything, because it is very important. She also said that we need to start the next stage soon, and that it would be advisable not to be late with it. Nicole has no idea who lives in this mansion, but she knows one thing for sure. Her sister is going to do something big. She feels like she has to stop her now, no matter what it takes. She starts thinking about what she can do, but nothing comes to mind. She feels uneasy because she recognizes her sister, as if a stranger had been living with her all this time. It is a very strange feeling that she would not wish even on her enemy. At some point, she began to remember old situations. They appeared in her head when suddenly, strange sensations appeared, as if she was now teleporting somewhere again. She didn't even have time to really think about it before she found herself in some other place that seemed a little familiar to her. The girl doesn't understand how she ended up here. She sees a huge moon in front of her, some kind of altar. All this seems simultaneously beautiful and very frightening. She wants to know who moved her here, why and how far she is now from the mansion where she was a couple of minutes ago. She remembered that this is the altar that is carried when a young man dies, but how it is all connected, she has no idea. She saw something like this when she was a duchess, and now she is interested to know if there is anyone who died in this house. She thought she was alone here, but at some point she heard footsteps, and after that they asked her if someone was there. She heard a distinct voice of a woman, but she did not recognize at all who it could be, especially at such a time. At first, the girl saw someone's silhouette. Then she thought that she needed to hide, although if she had already been seen, then there was no point in it. The main thing is that she doesn't regret starting to follow her sister at all, because everything could turn out in the most terrible way. That girl is getting closer and closer. She is silent the whole time she is walking, and this is very alarming. Now I need to come up with some excuse to say why she's here, and she doesn't even have an answer to that question. A couple of minutes ago, the girl was in another place and has no idea how she ended up here. She herself would like someone to answer this question for her. To begin with, she apologized to this girl, explained that she did not want to invade someone else's territory and she was incredibly ashamed of it. It turns out that this woman was waiting for her daughter and thought it was her. But as it turned out, a strange girl was on her territory and she also asked a very obvious question. Who is she and what is she doing here? The girl replied that she didn't live in the house at all and explained that she simply got lost at night when she was walking home from her friend's house. And that's how she ended up here. Without thinking twice, she decided to invite the girl to her home and also said that she had come on a significant day, so she believed that they should have tea together. She doesn't quite know how it will happen. She tried to hint that she needs to go home, but the woman didn't even listen to her, and in order not to anger her, she had to agree. It was very unpleasant to enter a house where something like this was hanging on every wall. There was some strange atmosphere around. You just wanted to leave as soon as possible. But today during the day, the girl couldn't even imagine that this would happen to her. So much has happened this night, more than has happened in recent times. These are some real adventures. It is impossible to predict what will happen in half an hour, not to mention how it will all end. With all this, there is some dark energy coming from this woman. Maybe it is because she has a not very kind hobby. Looking at her house from the inside, you can easily understand what she is doing. Lucky that she did not think that Nicole was some kind of scammer and did not shoot her. She knows very well what kind of gun this is. It is one of 10 in the entire empire, a magical carbine used by the chosen few. Raoul had exactly the same one. Nicole remembered it down to the last detail, so she recognized the same copy in a second. While the woman is giving a short tour, the girl starts to feel very strange. She doesn't understand what to do, and running away from here isn't the best idea either. After all, you can't run far from such a hostess. She doesn't even know what to talk to her about and really wants to ask what she meant when she said that today is a significant day. She's afraid to say something unnecessary because the situation conditionally hints that you need to be careful with the hostess. When she had already poured tea for them, she told them that her name was, and that sometimes she forgot to close the door because no one lived here anyway. The girl replied that she was very glad to meet you, and repeated once again that if she was interested, then she had not touched anything here and as soon as it was convenient, she would immediately go home. She tries to behave as politely as possible to make only a good impression. Now her life directly depends on it. At that moment, Grace decided to warn her that it was very dangerous to walk in this forest. She constantly hears some screams here at night and would not want such a sweet girl to become someone's victim. She doesn't even know if she should be allowed to stay overnight and hints that she can stay here overnight, if she wants to, of course, because she's not going to force her. Unexpectedly, the woman also started to tell that sometimes a girl from the surrounding area appears in this area and that she comes here about a couple of times a week. But recently, she has started to appear more often. Nicole was very surprised and just in case asked what her name was, in case the woman knew this information. But when she said that this girl's name was Isabel and that she even talked to her a couple of times, Nicole could hardly believe these words. She didn't even know what to say to this. Grace also said that the girl lives in the mountains for certain reasons and says that she has no friends. So sometimes they come here for a walk. And she was always embarrassed by the fact that she only walks at night and has never appeared here during the day. At first, the woman was surprised that the girl was walking alone at night. But then, Isabel explained that she was forced to go out secretly late at night because she had to hide. Because before the woman was doing a special job at night, she did not sleep, and when Isabel came, she treated her to tea in the same way. At that moment, the girl felt a strong anger towards her sister because she did everything exactly the opposite of what their mother asked from the very beginning. How did they end up here? Their parents forced them to hide so they wouldn't have contact with strangers, but she didn't listen to them. The girl is very upset that her sister so easily ignored her parents' requests, knowing how hard it was for them and how hard they tried to make sure everyone was safe. Isabel seemed to do everything despite her family, and no one even suspected it. And in the meantime, Grace asked if Nicole knew this girl. For some reason, she decided to tell the truth and admitted that she was actually a sister, and apologized for not saying it earlier. She felt very awkward that everything had turned out this way, but for some reason now, she wanted to be sincere with this woman. She even told her that lately she had been acting suspiciously because of her, so she had to follow her. Grace laughed slightly in response and said that she understood everything and even thought so at first. She also said that it is quite normal that the older sister is worried about the younger one, and also asked not to worry because she is not dangerous at all and she has proof of this. Nicole didn't quite understand what this meant because she didn't even hint that she was afraid of her, so she asked what other evidence. Grace asked the girl if she knew that this mountain had an owner, but almost no one who lived in the area knew about it. Previously, there was an abandoned mine in this mountain, where for many years they tried to extract the highest grade ore. But over time, people stopped coming near this place because of various rumors that the mine causes diseases. Nicole, like everyone else, never thought that this place could have an owner. She was very surprised and asked the woman to continue. It turns out that this mansion and abandoned mine is the land that she inherited from her family. After these words, the girl seemed to realize something, but did not show it. Grace also said that she came here from the capital to improve her health due to long-term depression. She heard that her ancestors built this house as a secret exchange. Perhaps they even tried to secretly take some of the ore out of here. And in the meantime, the girl thinks that if this place is located between abandoned mining settlements, then this means somethings. Nicole thought about confessing something else. The main thing is that she would not regret it later. She said that her sister could have already told about it. But if the woman still does not know anything about it, then she should admit that her family lives on this land. They made a big mistake. Although not intentionally, they thought they were perfectly hidden, but they were not. Apparently no one touched them, because they did not think that the people hiding could be from the reshape family. The girl also said that she was very sorry that everything turned out this way, but judging by Grace's reaction, she was not angry at all and treated it with understanding. After she told her everything, Grace replied that it was good that they renovated and lived in such an old, abandoned house, and she also smiled and called her a very well-mannered girl. Nicole thanked for the kind words and also said that it was very pleasant to talk to her, and she did not expect to meet such a good person, especially under such circumstances. Grace is surprised that in such a remote place there is such a noble girl as Nicole. And it should also be noted that she did not say a word about Isabel. Then the woman remembered that she was actually waiting for her daughter, but she was still not there, although she should have arrived much earlier. Without thinking, the girl asked how old her daughter was and what her name was. And after that, she felt that it would have been better if she hadn't asked about it. First, the woman asked how old Nicole was. She said she was 20, and it turns out Grace's daughter was 20 when she died. The woman began to tell that her daughter was also beautiful, and that was probably why she was so tender towards girls of that age. Most likely, that is why she confused Nicole with her daughter. Although it is strange how she could wait for a daughter who could not come to her. Perhaps today was one of those 10 days? Everyone who has experienced the loss of loved ones knows about these days. Imperials believe that the souls of the dead remain in this world for 4 years and then pass on. They say that they spend the last 10 days visiting their families before passing on. So most people hold small farewell ceremonies on the 4th anniversary. Suddenly, the woman asked why the girl had such a face, and then suggested that she might be surprised that she was hunting during the period when her daughter was supposed to come to her. To which Nicole replied that this was not the case at all and that was not the issue. Then Grace told that her daughter loved new dishes and she wanted to cook for her, but failed. The girl imagines how sad she is now. She really wants to support her, but does not know how to do it, and also said that she hopes that her daughter is doing well now. She replied that she was very pleased to hear this, and that she had not thought that she would meet such a nice person in the middle of the night. Now she wants to talk to her for as long as possible, and she also said that her family doesn't have to worry about them living on her land. After this, the girl decided to ask if there was only one woman living here, because it seemed like no one else was in this house. She replied that this was not entirely true, that sometimes workers from the village came to her, and it was more convenient to be there alone at night. Nicole remembered that there was a fairly large farm nearby, so she asked if it belonged to her too. That's true, this farm is also run by a young gardener. He looks after the cows and brings them food twice a day. Nicole is surprised that the woman is not only interested in hunting, but also runs a farm. She responded that she simply loves fresh milk and has always dreamed of a farm life. Since she has no talent for it, she has to hire people. It seems that now the girl understands why her sister has been acting so suspiciously all this time. But it is unlikely that she will tell about her sister coming and feeding the cows with who knows what, because that could ruin her opinion of her family. She has no idea what to do next. And at the same time, Nicole has lost a lot of time and has not kept track of what else her sister has done. Out of the blue, it's as if a puzzle is coming together in her head. Milk, poisoned with poison, which the mistress of these lands loves to drink. Everything points to the fact that someone is persistently trying to get rid of her and take over her lands. The girl had already heard something about this, and perhaps this chance meeting was necessary for the two of them. And if they unite, they will be able to stop the villain.